He walked into the courtroom like he already knew how this was going to end. Not nervous, not worried, not even slightly intimidated. In fact, he looked confident, too confident. A thick folder sat underneath his arm, stuffed with papers, highlighted notes, strange legal phrases, and internet printouts he probably spent all night studying. The deputies noticed it immediately. The prosecutor noticed it too. And when the judge walked in and saw the stack of papers sitting on the defense table, he already knew. This was going to be one of those hearings. The courtroom settled down as the clerk called the case. State versus Daniel Mercer. The man slowly stood up. Dark jacket. Calm expression, slight smiles on his face. Like he had discovered something nobody else in America knew. The judge looked down at the file. "Mr. Mercer?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he adjusted the papers in front of him carefully. The judge looked up again. "Are you Daniel Mercer?" A long pause, then finally, "I am here by special appearance only." The courtroom deputy closed his eyes for a second. The prosecutor looked down, trying not to smile. "And the judge?" The judge leaned back slowly in his chair, like a man who had heard every internet courtroom argument imaginable. "Sir," the judge said calmly, "that did not answer my question." The man nodded confidently. "I am a living soul. I am not the corporate entity identified by the state." A few quiet laughs came from the back row of the courtroom gallery. The judge remained completely expressionless. "What is your name?" The man took a breath like he was about to deliver a speech that would change legal history forever. "I do not consent to contracts." The courtroom went silent. Even the bailiff standing near the wall lowered his head for a second. The judge blinked slowly. "That wasn't my question. I am not the legal fiction written on those documents." The judge sighed softly and looked toward the prosecutor. The prosecutor already had the exhausted expression of somebody who knew this hearing was about to take forever. "Mr. Mercer," the judge said carefully, "you are currently charged with felony theft, resisting arrest, and obstruction. Whether you call yourself a living soul, a natural man, or a legal fiction does not change those charges." The man smiled slightly. "You operate under admiralty law." "No," the judge replied instantly. "We operate under Tennessee criminal law. But the gold fringe flag has absolutely nothing to do with admiralty law." The courtroom erupted with quiet laughter. The man immediately became irritated. "You people laugh because you don't understand the Constitution." The judge leaned forward slightly. "No, sir. People are laughing because you sound ridiculous." That line hit the courtroom like a hammer. The deputy near the door actually turned his face away, trying not to laugh. But Daniel Mercer still believed he was in control. You could see it in his face. He genuinely thought the judge was afraid of the arguments. He opened his folder dramatically and began flipping through pages. "I have documents proving this court lacks jurisdiction over a sovereign citizen." The judge rubbed his forehead slowly. "Did you get these from the internet?" "They are lawful notices." "From the internet?" The man hesitated. "That's irrelevant." The prosecutor finally spoke for the first time. "Your Honor, the defendant was found inside a stolen vehicle carrying stolen credit cards and fake identification." Daniel immediately interrupted. "I do not consent to these proceedings." The judge raised his hand. "When I am speaking, you stop talking." Silence. The confidence on Daniel's face faded slightly for the first time. but only for a moment, because then he tried another strategy. I am here under threat, coercion, and duress. No, the judge replied calmly. You are here because police arrested you. Another wave of quiet laughter spread through the courtroom. Daniel looked frustrated now. His prepared speeches weren't landing the way he expected. Every phrase he used sounded powerful in his head. In an actual courtroom, it sounded insane. Still, he kept going. I challenge the jurisdiction of this court. Denied. You cannot deny natural law. This is criminal court, sir, not YouTube. That one almost broke the courtroom completely. Even the clerk had to look away. Daniel's face turned red. You mock me because you fear the truth. No, the judge answered immediately. I mock nonsense because nonsense wastes the court's time. And honestly, that was the moment the hearing changed. Up until then, the judge had been patient, firm, but patient.
Now?
Now you could hear the frustration building, because this wasn't just about one difficult defendant anymore. There were victims waiting, attorneys waiting, families waiting, real people with real cases. And this hearing had already wasted nearly 40 minutes arguing about whether a man legally existed. The judge opened the file again. Mr. Mercer, are you planning to represent yourself? I am the authorized agent of the living beneficiary. The judge stared at him silently. The prosecutor looked confused. Even Daniel himself looked slightly unsure of what he just said. Finally, the judge spoke. Sir, do you even understand your own argument? Daniel froze. For 2 full seconds, nothing came out of his mouth. Then he looked back down at the papers, searching desperately for another line. The judge noticed immediately. And honestly, that's when the sympathy completely disappeared, because it became obvious this man had memorized random internet phrases without understanding any of them. The judge leaned back in his chair again. You watched videos online that told you these words would magically defeat criminal charges, didn't you? Daniel said nothing. That's what this is really about. I know my rights. You clearly do not. The courtroom became completely silent again. Then the judge decided to test him. Explain jurisdiction. Daniel blinked. What? You keep saying this court lacks jurisdiction. Explain what jurisdiction means. Long pause. Daniel looked down again. More paper shuffling, nothing. The judge nodded slowly, like he already expected this outcome. That's what I thought. The prosecutor couldn't hide the smile anymore. And Daniel could feel control slipping away from him, so suddenly he became aggressive. You judges think you are above the people. The courtroom atmosphere changed instantly. The judge's face hardened. Careful. You work for corporations, careful. You have no lawful authority over free men. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Mercer, let me explain something to you very clearly. The room became dead silent. This courtroom is not controlled by internet conspiracy theories. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The judge continued. The Constitution of the United States and the laws of this state give this court full authority to prosecute criminal offenses. Daniel shook his head slowly. I reject that authority. The judge nodded once. And yet, you are still here. That line landed harder than anything else said all morning, because it was true. Daniel could reject reality all he wanted. Reality was still winning. The judge looked toward the deputies. Did the defendant resist arrest? Yes, Your Honor. Daniel interrupted again immediately. I was kidnapped unlawfully. The deputy actually laughed out loud. No, sir, he said. You ran from police behind a Walmart. The courtroom exploded with laughter again. Daniel's confidence was disappearing fast now. His voice got quieter. His answers became shorter. And every time the judge asked basic legal questions, he had nothing real to say. Eventually, the judge reached his limit. Mr. Mercer, I'm going to explain this one final time. The judge removed his glasses. You can call yourself a sovereign citizen, a living soul, a natural man, whatever you want. The judge pointed directly at the case file. But these charges are real. Silence. The stolen vehicle was real. Silence. The fake identification was real. Silence. And if you continue interrupting this court with nonsense arguments, the consequences will also become very real. Daniel swallowed hard. For the first time all morning, he finally looked nervous. The judge continued, speaking calmly now. You are absolutely entitled to defend yourself. Daniel looked relieved for half a second. But you are not entitled to waste this court's time with fake legal theories that have never worked in the history of American law. The relief vanished instantly. The judge signed several papers quickly. Your motions challenging jurisdiction are denied. More paperwork signed. Your filings are legally invalid. Another signature. And if you continue disrupting proceedings, I will hold you in contempt. The courtroom stayed completely silent. Daniel looked down at his papers again. But now, even he looked unsure whether he believed them anymore. The judge handed the documents back toward him. You can take your paperwork. Daniel slowly grabbed the folder. And I strongly suggest, the judge added, that before your trial date you speak to a real attorney instead of people online pretending to understand the law. That line hurt. You could see it on Daniel's face immediately, because deep down he knew the judge was right. All those videos, all those internet experts, all those promises about secret loopholes and hidden legal tricks, none of it had helped him, not even a little. Instead, he walked into court confident and walked out facing the exact same felony charges he started with. Only now, he also looked completely humiliated. As deputies escorted him out of the courtroom, one final thing happened. The judge called out to him one last time. Mr. Mercer. Daniel stopped walking. The judge looked directly at him. You do, in fact, have a name. The entire courtroom burst into laughter, and just like that, hearing was over.